The first of those Big Ten Eastern Division Championship fights did not disappoint. Woo! Michigan State comes back to defeat Michigan at 37-33, and now SPARTY says, we are here to stay. Michigan continues to have its issues against ranked opponents on the road under Jim Harbaugh. So we've got the game itself, and of course, we've got the narratives going forward. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, breaking down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis because of you. Please lock in, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications to know when we go live, which is every day during college football season, pretty much every day all year. All right. Where do we start on this one? Classic football game. Classic football game, the biggest comeback in the series going back to 2004 as Michigan looked like the better football team, taking a 30-14 lead midway through the third quarter, being outscored by SPARTY 23-3 for the remainder of the game. Freshman Josh Brantley, what a play at the end of the game. Michigan had a shot. They had a shot. Their previous drive appeared to be the shot with plenty of time left to navigate down the field, to be able to open up the entire playbook, of course, with 3 to 4 minutes left to drive it all the way down the field and take the lead once Kenneth Walker had scored another touchdown for Michigan State to make it 37-33. SPARTY stopped them on downs. And then Michigan, still having preserved its timeouts, good coaching decision there, gets the ball back with $1:15 left, 68 yards to go, but cannot convert after the roughing the passer penalty. And on second down, the freshman Josh Brantley with a remarkable interception as he was playing off his receiver. He had the up man. He duped Cade McNamara and broke on the football, made a one-handed interception to end the game. We can go so many directions on this one. You most likely watched the game. If you did not, at least catch the extended highlights. Let's go on the Michigan side. They had issues on defense switching personnel out. It was talked about during the game by Joel Klatt that Mike McDonald, incoming defensive coordinator from the Baltimore Ravens, used to the NFL rules, should be better acclimated to the collegiate rules. Couldn't change out his personnel groupings because Michigan State was not changing out its offensive personnel groupings, and they were caught in a few situations, Michigan, and it cost them, in which they were not set on defense, didn't have the right personnel group on the field, tried to switch it out, and weren't set to play the play. And that's what happened. On the defensive side for Michigan, though, I think they just got worn out. I think they got worn down in the second half. I think they were the better defense on the field for most of the afternoon. David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson are, NFL freaks. They are great players on the outside, and they were the two players that kept Michigan in the game in the second half when the defense wore down and started to really give up gash plays, both in the passing game and to Kenneth Walker. But Michigan defensively played great for about 2.5 quarters. But again, they started to wear down midway through the third quarter. So Mel Tucker and what he preaches isn't just a bunch of talk. They showed it at Miami in one of the more tightly contested games of the season, in which it was a close game, one-score game, field goal game until late when they took over in the fourth quarter in the Miami heat and humidity. And then in the game against Nebraska, they fought and clawed and were outplayed in the second half, but found a way to win. And then this one against Michigan. So these two offenses played remarkably. Both offenses, the playmakers showed up. They were blocked well up front. The offensive lines did their job, except for exceptional plays by individual defensive players on occasion. And the two quarterbacks played great. Were they perfect? No, they weren't perfect, but they played remarkable football. I thought some of the montages showing Cade McNamara's throws in tight windows were remarkable. The best he's played this year, except for the mistakes, and he got duped on the final play. But aside from that, he was throwing some exceptional passes, no doubt about that. We will question a few things here, but I want to make the point that Mel Tucker said his team was going to be tougher and better conditioned than the opponent. So again, showed it at Miami, Nebraska to a certain extent, and this game against Michigan. These are the three close games for Michigan State this year. Also the Indiana game on the road. But in this one in particular, down 30-14, except for the personnel grouping issues, which happened 4 to 5 times during the game, this was not a strategically won game for Michigan State. This was because they were in better condition. This is what happens in football. The better conditioned team and the team that's mentally tougher, which sometimes is connected to how physically tough you are, how much you can stand mentally, wore down the Michigan Wolverines. That's why they were outscored 23-3. So Mel Tucker followed through on his promise, and his team is backing him up on the conditioning and the mentally and physically tougher stance approach. Kenneth Walker, he should win the Heisman right now. I'm not saying that we should give him the Heisman. I'm saying if the award was given out today, Kenneth Walker is making the biggest difference in college football for his team. You can look at other quarterbacks throughout the nation, Bryce Young at Alabama and C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. They are playing for the very elite programs, and the quarterbacks always excel there. Kenneth Walker has made a substantial difference at Michigan State. $197 today on 23 carries. That's 8.6 yards per carry against a Michigan defense that was one of the best rush defenses in the country. 5 touchdowns. Those are the numbers, but again, you got to watch this guy play. It's remarkable. The strength, the size, the speed, the cuts in the open field, the balance when he's made contact against. He's number 1 in the nation in yards after contact. And he probably increased that quite a bit today because the Michigan defensive front was in the backfield a lot. Got hands and arms on him repeatedly. The 2 wide receivers on the outside for Michigan State were not highly recruited guys, but Michigan State found them. So credit Mark D'Antonio for that one. So Mel Tucker's winning with Mark D'Antonio's players again. He brought in 20 freshmen that were key to the class last season, and of course 20 in the transfer portal. So he's rounded out the roster, but a lot of these guys were Mark D'Antonio recruits and signees. Jalen Reed, 6 for 80. Jalen Naylor, who had to leave the game in the fourth quarter, 4 for 75. We hope his hand is okay. It was in some type of a cast. But on the Michigan State side, Peyton Thorne was really good today. He was under siege most of the game from Ajabo and Hutchinson, and he was caught most of the time, but not his fault. 2 picks on the day. Buck 96, 19 for 31. I chart these games play-by-play throughout each quarter, but I'm not going to go through all of that. I did want to, again, credit Cade McNamara on an exceptional game. The personnel groupings issue on defense for Michigan and the quarterback switch using J.J. McCarthy has worked. Bringing him in to it's never to take on a full series, which seems a bit foolish, but it's worked for Michigan, and it even worked for the most part today. The touchdown throw that he made to Andrell Anthony, who caught 6 passes for $155, and he was exceptional on this day. Obviously scored the first touchdown of the day, splitting the defense and going the distance for 93 yards, and some other catches that he made on the day. Eric All, 10 catches, 98 yards. He's a tight end that Michigan fans have been clamoring to get him the football, and we saw that today. The reason why Mike Sanders still is a really good player who had a key catch late in the ball game as well for Michigan. But McNamara was good. The running game's not going to be as potent against this Michigan State defense as it's been against other opponents. So the Michigan ground game held in check for the most part. Haskins' longest run was 24 yards. Blake Corum only escaped for an 11-yard run on 13 carries. 13 carries, longest run, 11 yards. That's good. That's good rush defense. Getting guys to the football, filling gaps, staying assignment football, filling the gaps, staying your assignment as the linebackers fill the holes, keeping Blake Corum contained. 13 carries for 45 yards. But putting McCarthy in the game, again, when it works, it looks great. It's given him an experience that the Penn State backup quarterback, Taquan Roberson, did not have, and I've been highly critical of James Franklin not preparing his backup quarterback, and then it burned him at Wisconsin with the 2-touchdown lead and his backup quarterback in the game, and it pretty much shut down his offense. It was awful. It was atrocious. He was ill-prepared. So J.J. McCarthy's prepared. He's making throws, and he's a great talent, but he did put the football on the carpet twice when it counted. The first one they fortunately got back as it was kicked out of bounds by the Michigan State defense, but the second one highly cost Michigan. That may have cost them the game. Having J.J. McCarthy in, the first one was an outright fumble. The second one, a mesh point issue with Blake Corum. So you benefit from bringing in J.J. McCarthy, and maybe you benefit down the road when he has to come into a game if McNamara gets hurt. But on the flip side, he made 2 mistakes late in the game, and one of them really stood up to bite Michigan. Now, Jim Harbaugh's record against ranked opponents on the road, I don't have it in front of me, but it's notoriously horrible, and it continued today. These were 2 really good football teams going at it. I don't believe either one of them are elite. Keep in mind that the game was played at Michigan State. If you're evaluating teams and who's the better team, shoot, these teams could play 10 times and they would split. This is the game that matters, though. This is the only time that they're playing. So Michigan State wins. That's what matters. To evaluate the teams, shoot, I don't know. I still think Michigan's probably a little bit better, but Michigan State won the game, and in comeback fashion. So much to talk about, and we will cover more of this tonight on our Voice of College Football live call-in show. So please call us. Bring your comments and your questions to the table late night tonight here on Saturday and obviously throughout the week. But Michigan State wins at 37-33. They're 8-0, 5-0 in the Big Ten, so they win round 1 of these matchups in the Big Ten Eastern Division. We've got another one tonight, Penn State, Ohio State, of course. Michigan State coming off this high at Purdue next week. Keep in mind. Ohio State and Penn State down the line. For Michigan, they've got Indiana at the Big House next week, and then Penn State, Ohio State, as, of course, now the Wolverines need Michigan State to lose, and they've got to win out to win the Big Ten Eastern Division. Would love to get your comments down below on Michigan State. It was a heck of a ball game. Mel Tucker wins round 2 with Jim Harbaugh, 2-0. Filling in for Mark D'Antonio, doing quite nicely. Michigan has now lost 10 of 14 to Michigan State. That's the take right here at the Voice of College Football. We will see you tonight.